Hello, writers, and congratulations on making it to Bend 2. Now we're going to start our writing process all over again, but we're going to do it even better because you're experts now. You have a whole bend of writing animal books under your belt. So today is session 8, writing a table of contents with a variety of text structures. So think back, or you can open up and take a look at your last table of contents. What were your chapters? Could some of those be the same for your second animal? Any chapters you might need to change? This is what you need to know. Writers plan their books with different text structures in mind. They design their table of contents to showcase different text structures. So let me show you. In my first book, I wrote about penguins, and I called it All About Penguins. I started with what penguins eat, penguin bodies, how penguins protect themselves, and a penguin's life cycle. If I'm going to write a book about frogs, I could include pretty much the same chapters and just talk about frogs. What frogs eat, frogs' bodies, how frogs protect themselves, a frog's life cycle. But as a writer, we always want to be growing. So I really want to think now about my text structures. What text structures might I use for these chapters? So in my All About Frogs book, What Frogs Eat, I probably want to describe what they eat, so that would be description. Frogs' bodies. I'm going to want to describe their bodies and probably include some diagrams. Again, that would be description text structure. Danger alert, how frogs protect themselves. I could do two things there, problem solution or cause effect. So maybe the problem is how they protect themselves from a certain predator, and their solution may vary by frogs, or I could have the cause and effects. If a frog feels like they're in danger, then they might do this. And then a frog's life cycle. If I think about it, it's going to be sequence. I want to start with the tadpole or the egg and move all the way through to the grown frog. So your turn. If I was going to do the difference between frogs and toads, what text structure do you think I might use there? Why? You're right. I think I might want to add that, and I would probably do compare and contrast. And I'm going to talk about things that are the same between frogs and toads, and then the difference to really highlight what is different. So now here's my super strong table of contents. Growing up as a frog, sequence. Frogs' bodies, description. Munch, munch. What do you think I'm going to do in munch, munch? Right, the frog food, description. Danger alert, how frogs protect themselves. I think I'm going to do cause and effect there. Frogs versus toads, compare and contrast. And I want to try some pros and cons. Should you have a frog as a pet? And if I'm talking about pros and cons, I'm going to say all the good things and some of the bad things that might happen if you have a frog as a pet. So I started with some pretty boring titles. I made them way more exciting. I have figured out the order I want my chapters in and what type of text structure I'm going to use. So I do have 6 chapters here. I may not have that many group members. If you feel like you really flew through one chapter last time, I'm okay if you want to try 2 chapters this time. And some of you might still just focus on one chapter, and that's okay. But if you feel like you're really flying through your chapters, let's have a conference and see if you can take on a second chapter for your group book. So a few things to remember. A strong table of contents has a logical structure. And again, there's different ways it could be logical. It could go from least important to most important, first to last, different parts or types or reasons. And they should contain chapters of almost equal weight and importance. Again, we don't want one chapter that's just a paragraph and another chapter that's 10 pages. Covers the whole topic, and it doesn't repeat information included in other chapters. So again, you don't want a chapter that might be describing a frog's body, and it talks about how strong their legs are, and then a separate chapter that just has a paragraph about their legs. Make sure you're covering all of that information together. So your job today, I can draft a table of contents. I know I'm successful when I organize subtopics into a table of contents, I create exciting chapter titles, and I identify a text structure for each chapter. So let's take a look at the doc you're going to work in today. All right, writers, so here's your template for your second table of contents. It looks very similar to the first one we used. And again, you'll have a spot to type your animal name. And then the different group members can come up with their ideas for chapters. But it's a little different down here at the end. So you have a spot where you can decide who is going to do what chapter. But you also have a second one. I want to know what text structure you think you're going to use for each of these chapters. So this will be our focus for today. And if you get your chapters assigned and everything ready to go, then you can continue working in your research notebooks and gathering notes so that you're ready to start drafting your chapters. All right, writers, off you go.